Today's video is in collaboration with Beef, It's What's for Dinner, on behalf of the Beef Checkoff. Having been stuck inside for so many months, I can think of nothing more exciting than being able to fire up the grill and start cooking outside. And one of my favorite things to cook is marinated beef, specifically flank steak. If you're not familiar with flank steak is from like the lower ab of the cow. It has these really defined grain structures that run down on the meat. And so if you cook this to like a nice medium and you cut it right on the bias across the grains of this meat, and on the bias means at an angle, so you're cutting it nice and thin and across the grains. This makes a really delicious piece of meat, really tender, and since it's thin, you marinate it and you can create a lot of flavor, get a really nice sear on the outside, and it's one of the most delicious steaks. Marinating isn't always the best thing because it doesn't really penetrate deep into the steak. It only penetrates a little bit onto the surface of the meat. So if you're gonna use a piece like this, which is actually kind of thin, then marinating actually kind of makes sense. So we're gonna just make a simple marinade with some basic kind of, I guess you could say, Asian inspired flavors. And then we have some vegetables to go along with it, which we will also kind of just lightly marinate. Get outside, fire up the grill, and just enjoy some fresh air. I know I need it. I need a little bit of sun, so get some vitamin D, and let's just jump right into it. So first thing I'm gonna do is make the marinade for the steak. So in a marinade, you need some oil. So I've got some avocado oil here. I'm just gonna go in and do about a quarter cup. Maybe it's a half cup, whatever. You can eyeball it. Then I've got a little soy sauce. We'll do a half a cup of the soy sauce, some Worcestershire sauce, a few tablespoons of that Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of honey. I'm gonna add some Dijon mustard, which is gonna help emulsify this and kind of make it like a viscous, creamy marinade that's gonna adhere to the steak. So just maybe a big tablespoon. I've got a lime for acidity, and if I was going to marinate this overnight, I wouldn't use lime. I like to use lime if I'm gonna do like a quick marinade, so it doesn't kind of penetrate the meat too much, and it kind of has a tendency to make it mushy a little bit. Acid is kind of okay to use if you're not gonna do an extended marinade. So since we're gonna do maybe like a 30-minute to an hour long marinade, we can get some acid in there because we want real strong flavors to kind of penetrate that meat quickly. So I'm gonna do 1 lime, black pepper, and then 2 cloves of garlic. So now we're gonna blend it up and see how we do. See what that mustard does? Makes a beautiful, creamy kind of marinade. Beautiful. So we're gonna pour half of that right into the bottom, and then pour the rest of the marinade right on top. So now we can let this marinate in the refrigerator while we prepare the rest of the vegetables, marinate those, and fire up the grill. Now we're all about serving like healthy meals here. So when you're thinking about grilling, the key that I like to think about with my vegetables is really keep it simple. We're gonna just chop these up into little strips. We're just gonna take the hard end of the stem off of the asparagus, and then we're just going to lightly marinate them in a little bit of soy sauce and oil, and then that's it. We're gonna take them out to the grill, put a little bit of oil on them, get really nice color on both the asparagus and the mushrooms, and then maybe just add a little bit of lime juice to the asparagus. And that's it. And this is how I like to store it in the refrigerator. A little bit of water. The way that you'll find them in a good supermarket is dipped with a little bit of water, and avoiding the bottoms from drying out is the key to keeping these guys fresh. So first let's chop up the mushrooms. Now, remember, mushrooms shrink a lot. So if I'm gonna cut them, I don't wanna cut them too thin. I wanna give them enough meat on them so that they can stand up to a strong flame, shrink down a little bit, and just still have a nice piece to eat when it's all done. So I'm gonna go maybe that thick. Asparagus breaks right where this becomes too tough to eat, and some people shave it, but honestly, I mean, I just ate that skin right there. It's tender, so the snap is what I go by. You could always save these and make soup with them. So now I'm just gonna go soy sauce. You could do things like teriyaki sauce. You could just do oil and salt. You could kind of go wherever you want to go with it, but to me this is just really simple. It both marinates and seasons the vegetables, and that's going to be like a real nice caramelization on the grill. You could do balsamic vinegar, that would be really nice, and there you have it, just simple roasted vegetables. So anyway, we're just going to let everything marinate, and then we're going to go outside and get the grill ready to cook. So here we are at my Kamado style grill. You can use a kettle style grill, you can use any grill that's going to be able to get really high heat. And what I have is this sort of basket right here. This is a charcoal basket, so it's going to concentrate the heat and push it upwards so to get a really high sear. And essentially that area over there acts as a stovetop, if you will, and this area, the indirect area, acts as like an oven. We want those two zones so that we can get a really hot sear on one side, and if we need to kind of back off and let it slowly kind of finish cooking through, you can always pop it over to the indirect side. You don't always need to, but it's nice to have it there. Choose whatever grill you have and just know the goal that you want out of the cooker. The style of the grill really doesn't matter in this case. So right here I just have a full chimney of charcoal that I'm just gonna use a starter to get lit. And just for safety and protection, it's always nice to have a really good heat-proof or heat-resistant grill glove when you're outside cooking. So we just let that heat up. We want to add it to our charcoal box, or the area that we're going to put our charcoal in, when about 85 to 90% of the charcoals are actually white hot. We're just about ready to get started. What I have here is an instant read thermometer so that we can perfectly cook this steak. I'm gonna cook it on the direct heat till it hits about 130 degrees internal temperature. That's gonna carry over cook as it rests to about 140 to 145 degrees. Then we're gonna get the steak off, throw on our mushrooms, sear those off, and then cook our asparagus. These guys take no time at all to cook, so we can do that as the steak rests. Get the grill grate on, get the steak out of the marinade, and then onto the direct heat. Get a clean platter ready to go for when the steak is done cooking. Cook the steak for about 4 to 5 minutes on each side, or until the thickest part of the steak reads 135 degrees Fahrenheit internal temperature. Then let it rest and carry over cook until it reaches 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Once you get good color on both sides, transfer the steak to the indirect side, measure the internal temperature, and if it's not quite there yet, you can close the lid and finish cooking the steak. Otherwise, transfer the cooked steak onto a clean platter and get the grill grate clean to make sure there's no flare-ups when cooking the rest of the ingredients. Drizzle a little bit of oil onto the mushrooms, and then you can start to lay those out on the direct side of the grill. Squeeze in as much as you can do this in batches, and then just cook for 2 to 3 minutes on each side, or until they start to develop color. You can start to pull them as they kind of finish cooking onto the indirect side. And once they're all cooked, you can transfer this back to the bowl that they were marinating in. We're gonna treat the asparagus the exact same way. Coat with a little bit of oil, toss onto the direct heat, and give it about 2 to 3 minutes on each side, developing nice color. The only difference here is we're going to finish the asparagus with a little bit of fresh lime juice. Everything's looking good. Really simple stuff, just grilled nicely. Now, like I said, we want to cut this on the bias. The grains are running this way, so we're going to cut this way and at an angle. So the knife is going to slice at like around a 45-degree angle. That's cut on the bias, cooked perfect. That's what you want to see. It's cooked well. It's really just like everything you want this time of year. Beautiful, simple flavors, all done on the grill. No fuss, nothing too complicated. I'd like to thank Beef, It's What's for Dinner, and the Beef Checkoff for partnering with me on this video. I always appreciate the support. If you want to learn more about Beef, It's What's for Dinner and their United We Steak campaign, I'll leave a link to the website below. Like I said, it's been a long, tough winter. If there's one thing that's for sure is that we deserve this. What a beautiful day it is outside. I could not be more appreciative of it. I want to thank all the patrons who have been supporting me and support the show, who are scrolling up on the screen. I want to thank Beef, It's What's for Dinner, as always. Everyone who watched this video, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Get out there and grill. Anyway, that's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.